Hi, my name is Tyler Webb, and today I'm doing my chapter reflection for Chapter 12 of Technology and Society. In Chapter 12, we talked about basically the social institutions and like how society works when you're talking about like the people in it when it comes to like technology. And the first kind of like major topic we talked about is how families have become like different as like technology has progressed. Modern childhoods usually are not as like filled with like hard labor as they used to be, which is like good and bad depending on who you ask. Like it allows kids to be kids more, but at the same time like it also brings up a problem of like, are we giving our kids enough discipline? We also talked about like women's roles and like how both just like society shifting attitude, but also like technology has really made it so that in a lot of ways men and women can do the same things, and it's really allowed women to be able to put themselves out there in a way they weren't able to before. We then talked about the church and religion, and one of the main things that was discussed is kind of like the ongoing battle that's kind of just always going on between science and religion, because it feels like the farther and farther we progress with science, the more and more it like disproves religion. I personally kind of disagree with that, because I think that at the end of the day, even if like science is how the world works, who's to say that God did not like make science the way it is? Another thing that was discussed was computers and like the idea of that we were made in God's image, and the more we integrate ourselves like with computers, like once we start having like like robotic arms and stuff, are we like desecrating his image? I didn't really think that, kind of based off the same conversations we had early in the semester. I think that it's not so cut and dry, and like God knows how we act and like what our intentions are. We then talked about school and how technology has kind of been like changing the way we go about education. The biggest one of this that I have personally like gone through in the time I've been in school is how computers went from being like a non-factor in school to being a very heavy inclusion, to the point where like now that I'm in college, I literally need a computer to do every single one of my classes, and without a computer I just can't even like do my classes. Something that's become more relevant with COVID is distance learning and being able to take classes remotely and all that, because as everybody who took classes last year knows, the more, if you find yourself in a situation like that, everybody had to take online classes, and it was a real struggle for some. Like it did allow people to take those classes and the progression in their degree when they wouldn't have otherwise been able to. Last week we talked about like recreation and technology. I think the main thing to note here is just like computers and phones and video game consoles as it relates to like what us humans like do for fun, and I believe it's like good in some ways, because I believe that technology-based recreation is like very mentally stimulating, but I think that occurs at like the degradation of our like physical well-being. So like we're kind of trading off one for the other, and I don't have a hard opinion on which of those is better for us in the long run. Probably just want to make sure we have a healthy mix of the two. Anyways, that is my chapter reflection for Chapter 12 of Technology and Society.